I am on a mission to find out everything Extreme E before the final X-Prix weekend of the year coming up in December. Why, you might ask? Well, I love motorsport and I love learning about new challenging ways to race cars, but most importantly, it's what Extreme E stands for that caught my attention and made me want to make a video and hopefully be able to start covering the 2024 races on this channel. Now, I'm not an expert on this sport, but I have caught up on every X-Prix race weekend thus far and I've done lots of research into it. So this video is for XE amateurs like myself, and hopefully going into the new year, we'll all be pros of this sport. With that being said, let's get right into it. Extreme E is a first of its kind electric off-road international racing series with a split 50-50 male to female racing lineup. It consists of 10 teams, with each team having 2 drivers, 1 male and 1 female, who each have an equal playing field when it comes to racing. Each X-Prix weekend consists of 2 days of wheel-to-wheel racing, and how that works is, each round will have a set number of laps over a total averaging distance of 14 kilometers. And the teams must complete a driver's switch at the halfway point, typically after the first or second lap is completed, depending on the length of the course at the designated switch zone, where the next driver will take over. There is free practice 1 and 2, but the actual racing starts with 2 qualifying sessions, Q1 and Q2, which will consist of 2 heats, 5 cars racing each other. The finishing order of the Q1 heats will determine the starting position of the Q2 heats. The team's finishing position in each heat will contribute towards the combined qualifying results based on the intermediate points. The qualifying results will then determine which race each team advances to. So, the top 5 qualifiers based on the combined results of Q1 and Q2 will advance to the grand final race, and the bottom 5 qualifiers will proceed to the redemption race. It is imperative that teams finish in the top 5 during quali, as the grand final race is where the most points are awarded. Another key part of qualifying is that 1 championship point will be awarded to the winner of each qualifying heat, so finishing first in qualifying can get the teams some extra points. What's exciting about the races is that while all teams are driving an equal machinery, during each of the rounds, every driver is able to access the Innova Hyperdrive boost for one-time use. The Hyperdrive gives the drivers a 4-second boost of speed, and when they use it is up to the drivers, but timing is key. There is also a Continental Traction Challenge, and what that means is the team that sets the fastest time, which is a combination of both the male and female drivers' fastest times through the allocated sector, will earn 2 valuable championship points. This will run for each of the individual race days on Saturday and on Sunday. So that is the race format of Extreme E in a nutshell. Both your Saturdays and Sundays are filled with wheel-to-wheel racing, with teams battling it out to get the best results that they can, and boy is it easier said than done, because while the drivers are racing each other, they are also navigating weather conditions and track conditions, as well as this is an off-road racing series that deals with dust, wind, mud, water, fog, etc. And because they're professionals, they make it look easy. So with that being said, let's have a quick chat about the X-Prix race weekends and where they take place. To bring in some quick context, outside of racing, the ultimate goal of Extreme E is to use electric racing to highlight remote environments under the threat of climate change issues. There are 10 rounds and 5 race locations, and in each location, a legacy program takes place. The first 2 rounds are the Desert X-Prix, taking place in Neom, Saudi Arabia, on the shores of the Red Sea. Why Neom? Well, XE chose Neom to highlight the importance of incorporating nature into society. So they will be putting a spotlight on Neom's vision of sustainable living with a focus on renewable hydrogen solutions and preserving the biodiversity in the region. The legacy program that XE will be leaving behind by racing in Neom is continuing the rewilding project that was kickstarted in the 2022 season. And as for the racing conditions, Neom has sandy terrains, and there were expectations of the ground surface to be affected by the outside temperature. Rounds 3 and 4 were the Hydro X-Prix, which took place in Scotland this year on the former Glenmuckloch open cast coal mine site in Dumfries and Galloway, Scotland. The race took place on the restored former coal mine, which is now being transitioned into a hydro project aiming to provide as a renewable energy source for the region. Extreme E is racing in Scotland to highlight the environmental impact Scotland has been facing throughout the past few decades. The country has been experiencing a warming trend and a shift in rainfall patterns. As an off-road rally series which focuses on the promotion of electric vehicles and clean energy innovations, the Old Mine is the perfect natural amphitheater to showcase the necessary industry transition to move from fossil fuels to clean energy futures. It will also impactfully act as an example of the important role water can play in future renewables and healthy conservation. The legacy program that XC will be leaving behind is joining in on a community-led project which will include the replanting of trees, monitoring water quality and temperatures by using the technologies of their official technology partner, Vodafone Business. XC will also focus on a long-term transformation of the River Nith area that will protect the salmon stocks. As for the racing conditions, this track was a combination of both fast sections on grass as well as drops into a quarry. We now go on to rounds 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, and this year they were both in Island X Prix, taking place in Sardinia, Italy, specifically at the Army training area at Capo Teulada in the island southwest. Sardinia has been facing a rise in temperatures resulting in heat waves and fires, and unfortunately in July 2021, Italy witnessed an unprecedented surge of 13,000 wildfires. This catastrophe wreaked havoc on livelihoods and nature, obliterating pastures, farmlands, and countless animals, including 30 million bees. Rebuilding the affected 20,000 hectares is estimated to take up to 15 years. The first part of the legacy project this year for Sardinia will focus on returning to the communities that were impacted by the wildfires in 2021 and help restore the olive groves lost to the wildfires and run a fire prevention campaign within the local communities. And for the second part, XE will be teaming up with Metsi to analyze and replant seagrass along the degraded Sardinian shores. As for the racing conditions for this track, it is drier terrain due to the summer heat, and the track does aim to provide overtaking opportunities, fast sections, and tight corners. The last and final rounds are rounds 9 and 10, and they will be taking place in Antofagasta, Chile. And while at the time of recording this video, the Extreme E website has not yet updated the exact location of the race or what the legacy program will be, I do want to quickly highlight what they accomplished in Chile for the 2022 season. In short, XE helped support the habitat preparation and reintroduction of the Loa water frog, a frog that was alerted as endangered in 2019. They have also aimed to help raise awareness of more sustainable mining methods in the region. So, there you have it. 10 rounds, 5 weekends. But who's racing? Let's find out. Starting off with the reigning champions, X44 Vita Carbon Racing, which is a team formed by none other than 7-time F1 world champion Lewis Hamilton. And the two drivers for this team are Cristina Gutierrez, who won with the team last year, and this year she's alongside a new teammate, Fraser McConnell. We then go on to RXR Racing, aka Rosberg Times Racing, the 2021 champions of XE, formed by 2016 F1 world champion Nico Rosberg, and the two drivers for this team are Michaela Olin Kotulinski and Johan Kristoffersen. Then we go on to Abt Cupra XE, and the drivers for this team are Clara Anderson and Sebastian Loeb. Sebastian helped win the championship for Team X44 in 2022, alongside of Cristina Gutierrez. The next team is Acciona Sainz XE team, a team founded by Carlos Sainz. Not that Carlos Sainz, but Carlos Sainz Sr. and Acciona. The two drivers for this team are Leila Sanz and Matthias Ekstrom. We then have Andretti Autocalat Extreme E, and the Andretti name truly needs no further introduction, but the two drivers for this team are Katie Munnings and Timmy Hansen. A new team joined the XE group this year, and that is Carl Cox Motorsport, owned by, well, Carl Cox, a DJ, a motorsport fan, and a team owner. The two drivers for this team are Leah Block and Timo Scheider. It seems to be that F1 alums can't stay away from the sport because the next team is JBXE, owned by 2009 F1 world champion Jenson Button. And the two drivers for this team are Hera Hosas and Andreas Backrud. Our next team is Neon McLaren Extreme E, and no further introduction needs to be made for McLaren either, as the name speaks for itself. The two drivers for this team are Emma Gilmore and Tanner Faust. Then there's team number 99 GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing, owned by American former racing driver and business owner Chip Ganassi. The two drivers for this team are Amanda Sorensen and RJ Anderson. And finally, but certainly not least, we have Valache Racing, co-founded by the team behind Valache Esports. The two drivers for this team are Molly Taylor and Kevin Hansen. And yes, Kevin Hansen and Timmy Hansen are two brothers racing against each other in this championship. So, there you have it. That is the race format and the names of the teams and drivers participating in XE. What more needs to be said? Oh, of course, the car. The championship car is the Spark Odyssey 21, which is a fully electric SUV that was designed especially for Extreme E by Spark Racing Technology, who also happens to take care of the Formula E cars. And for your own further knowledge, the car encompasses a niobium reinforced steel alloy tubular frame, as well as a crash structure and roll cage. The batteries are designed and developed by Williams Advanced Engineering, specially designed for XE also, and the batteries put out a maximum output of 400 kilowatts. And as for the all-important tires, they have been designed and produced by Continental, Extreme E's founding partner. It is a tire with specially designed tread to enhance traction and stability on practically any surface. The tires for the Odyssey 21 will be able to cope with all conditions, from the scorching heat to the blistering cold, plus muddy, sandy, or icy terrains. Each tire is also fitted with a monitoring system that collects, measures, and analyzes data such as tire pressure and temperature in real time, transmitting that information to the driver via display in the cockpit. And each team is provided with one set of tires per race and 2 used tires from the previous race. And that's the car. Now, there is just one final thing that I would like to touch on when it comes to Extreme E, and that is what the sport stands for. I mentioned earlier that the ultimate goal of Extreme E is to use electric racing to highlight remote environments under the threat of climate change issues. The sport, as they like to call it, is the race for the planet, and what it stands for is equality, environment, entertainment, e-mobility, and energy. Now, I am planning on making another video about the sustainability and legacy program under XE, so I won't go too deep into it in this one, but what you need to know is that XE does as they say. They walk it like they talk it. They are a signatory of the UN Sports for Climate Action Framework and is in line with the 5 core principles established in the framework and the Paris Agreement. Unlike other motorsports that have huge spectator events, XE takes the opposite approach where there is minimal on-site attendance. This is to reduce the impact on remote race environments. So, if fans want to watch the races, they can watch it live on TV, YouTube, and social media. And if I'm correct, there's even a behind-the-scenes docu-series as well. But it's not just the fans that are limited, the operations too. Each Extreme E team is also limited to approximately 8 people, consisting of the 2 drivers, 1 engineer, and 5 mechanics, and the bulk of the TV operations, such as the editing and transmissions of the world feed, is done not on site but remotely in London. While I was going over the 5 race locations, I mentioned a legacy program for each. That is because Extreme E has a legacy program that they adhere to for each location and a science team that advises on the series education and research programs, event logistics and impact, as well as the recommendation of positive legacy initiatives which support local communities in each race location. And what I love about XE is that they have a sustainability report after each season to hold themselves accountable for each of their commitments that they made for that year. Finally, I can't end this video without a quick mention of the St. Helena Extreme E's global odyssey that is used to transport the freight and infrastructure, including the vehicles to the nearest port to each of the 5 race locations. The ship, previously known as the RMS St. Helena, has been completely renovated and refurbished to match both the environmental and transportation needs of a cargo vessel for Extreme E. So, if you sat through this entire video and are interested in watching XE, there is one final XPRI weekend coming up on the weekend of December 2nd and 3rd. And if you go to the Extreme E website, you can find the race time and where to watch it in your location. Oh, and fun fact, XE is currently classed as an FIA International Series, but alongside the announcement of Extreme H, XE will in 2024 be recognized as an FIA championship, which is a really huge deal, and I'm so excited to see what that means for the sport. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you guys soon.